Bethesda have been diligently remaking Morrowind since Morrowind, and I'll level with you, that's absolutely fine with me. It seems to be absolutely fine with the majority of the game's audience, to be fair, considering how Fallout 4 just sold enough copies to make a considerable dent in the internet's wanking traffic. I mean, it's so good, it stopped people masturbating. That's by far a more airtight metric of how good it is than off-cited Metacritic user reviews, which incidentally are almost exclusively written by total wankers. But I'm not here to convince you that Fallout 4 is great if you're convinced it's shite. Indeed, I completely understand why a lot of people don't like Bethesda games, and believe it or not, for a lot of the time, I'm in that camp too. The more removed I am from a new Bethesda release, the more cynical I get about their games. When Fallout 4 was announced to great fanfare earlier this year, it was around 4 years since Skyrim, and I remembered getting so excited during that year-long hype train. I remembered the build-up to Fallout 3, coming so quickly after the agonising road to oblivion. And I realised that I've been locked in a dance with Bethesda for almost my entire adult life, where they release a game and it feels like a massive endorphin rush that lasts through months and months of exploration, discovery, and rediscovery of the specific otherworld experience that only this studio provides. And then, inevitably, the fog of the binge starts to clear, and once again I start getting tired of the problems that we all know about, start virtually seeing the coding and scripting behind the character movements and event triggers, and the illusion shatters. In the years that follow between one big huge flawed Bethesda game and the next big huge flawed Bethesda game, my final memories of the previous one are always of the illusion breaking, of the curtain being lifted by the sheer power of the chain reaction that occurs between familiarity and resentment. It's easy to look back and wonder why you like these things so much in the first place. Alright, painting a bleak picture, but this is after playing the game for hundreds and hundreds of hours. The fact that Bethesda's formula is even capable of sustaining itself for that long is remarkable. And I would argue that anything capable of holding your attention for more than a couple of dozen hours is performing a feat that the vast majority of living, breathing, interesting human beings are not capable of doing. It's often said that Bethesda games are as broad as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle. And it's usually said by folk who are themselves absolutely fucking tedious. But I do agree, Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, they're big and there's lots of stuff that goes on in them, but none of it is particularly complicated on paper. But the reason these games can get away with being shallow is because they painstakingly, unapologetically cast the player as the most important, the most influential, the most crucial character on their stage. Aside from the odd AI skirmish, nothing happens in these worlds unless the player triggers it. Murders stay unsolved until you turn up to help. Wars of independence remain stagnant and entrenched until you turn up and decide who wins. The Daedric apocalypse stays paused until you, the player, decides to end it. Bethesda games work because they are worlds in which you are unique. You are the one and only smart and capable human being in an entire universe populated by simple, uncomplicated, incapable, gibbering morons, like this arsepiece, this lobotomized Commander Shepard prick. The world has no meaning beyond what you ascribe to it, and what Bethesda are great at is opening doors for you to project that meaning into the world. With Fallout 4, they've added 2 more conduits for this to occur, specifically the tweaked conversation system, which lends a bit of context to your avatar. You're no longer a mute mannequin with a camera hanging from your face. You now have a literal voice to add gravitas to the implied one they gave us before. The settlement building system, which is more or less completely new for Bethesda, gives you a personal stake in the world, a way of becoming invested in this place, should you wish to, in a way which we've never been able to in the past. In Fallout 4, you're no longer a tourist, albeit the most important tourist that ever lived. You are doing the very thing that people would do in the aftermath of civilization ending, the very thing that eons of biological and sociological evolution has engineered us to do, which is to build communities. Build walls to keep the monsters at bay, farm crops so we can all eat. When this feature was first unveiled, I was so cynical. I thought it looked like such an afterthought. I thought, how the hell does this Minecraft-light nonsense fit into Fallout? And the answer, of course, is spectacularly well. It's a natural evolution of Bethesda's USP, putting the player at the center of the geographical and political landscape, having it shaped by their whims, by their agendas, and now their natural instinct to build houses and put up a flag that says, "Come to our little corner of the world. help us tend the crops, and we can keep each other safe. That, to me, is a powerful and always relevant message, especially in these troubled times, but it's not something that Bethesda have explicitly said. Again, Fallout 4, like every other Bethesda game, is a blank canvas upon which we paint our own minds, our own experiences, our own insecurities and fears, joys and elations. They get better every time, and Fallout 4, for my money, is the best expression so far, not only of how they've improved their craft, but of precisely why I love, and why I've always loved, their games. You might think I'm talking total shite, but that's okay too.